All right.
It's exciting, brother.
Welcome to Jim and James in the Morning Podcast, or Jim and James Morning Podcast, or Jim and James Podcast. We're not sure yet, but we're still working on it, right, Jim?
Working on the Kings, brother, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah. So, a dear friend of yours and now mine is here.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi, guys.
Hey.
What's up?
It's been a minute, huh?
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
It's been like 500 years. I got to be honest with you guys. Like, those tacos we just had, I'm so, like, paranoid that I'm going to, like, let out a fart right now. Because that was a lot of fiber.
The thing about these microphones is they hear every belch, every burp, every hiccup, every groan.
We farted a gazillion times.
Oh, okay. Then
we'll just edit the fart.
Yeah, we'll edit the fart out. We called the farting podcast. Well,
I don't feel so bad now. I'm in good company.
I'm kind of just like clenching my butt cheeks right now.
Just
hoping that nothing comes out to want to say hello, you know.
It's like Jim Carrey in the when he starts talking with his butt cheeks.
Oh my God, yes.
Classic moment.
Or that scene in have you ever seen the movie Bruno?
Sure.
Oh my God, when he starts talking with his... Yeah, it's very dirty. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that on here.
We're having this cheeky, right? Tongue in cheek.
Yeah, this is a very cheeky conversation
sense of
for
humor,
my English friends.
as they say in England.
So, Brandi Aguilar, Jesus, what don't you do, girl? Voiceover, actress, you do it all, right? Model,
comedian?
I'm a very tired woman.
She works a lot, dude.
It's so much fun, and I'm so happy to be here, by the way. I've been
thank
looking
you.
forward
We're
to
so
this.
happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's
we met some time ago in my other podcast. She was my second guest, bro, on the show.
Yes, your
Divas.
limo driver podcast.
Juicy
That was
Divas
fun.
Speaking of
Limo
podcasts...
Yes, I do have my own podcast. If you like theater, if you're into theater, it's called Theater Puke with Brandi Aguilar.
That's awesome. Love theater.
We talk about theater. I talk about different topics about theater, and pretty soon we're going to do audio readings on the podcast.
That's cool.
For you to listen to, and of different plays that are in public domain, so I don't get sued. And I'm going to get some of my actor friends to play some of the parts. So if you ever want to play some of the parts,
absolutely, kind of like a table read, but like a radio play, but on a podcast.
On a podcast,
that's very, bro. That's something that's going around quite frequently now, because a lot of them are getting picked up and turning into shows, full-blown shows on Netflix.
I think I was telling you one time. I don't know. A lot of everyone seems to know somebody that knows somebody. Everyone knows everyone in this town. I'm starting to find out. It's really amazing on how much of that happens.
It's like 3 degrees of separation.
It's not even 6 anymore.
Oh, right, 1 degree.
So I was in a theater company called Theater 68.
Ooh.
And Ronnie Marmo, a good friend of mine, who's the artistic director over there, he'll be coming on. He's going to be a great guest. He has a one-man show called Lenny Bruce.
That's so cool.
It's been going for years. Joe Mantegna directs it. He's in Chicago, New York, off-Broadway, but this thing's been running for years and years and years, and it's such a great show, amazing show.
That is neat.
But there was, I think it was Denny Siegel, who was an improv teacher that we'd have 4 hours a night on Monday nights, and we'd call it gym. Because that's where we'd work out our acting muscles, right? And the first 2 hours was improv, and we were graced to have Denny Siegel, who was the only female cast member on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
That's so cool.
Oh,
it was such a great show,
cool.
right?
I love
So
that
she
show.
would teach us improv, and I did this for 4 years. But there was a radio, this thing where I wish I could remember the name. Denny, you got to get a hold of me. You got to tell me who that was. It's a comic duo, real famous comic duo. Another one of my stories where I don't have all the facts, but I'll get back to you on that. Where they read these radio plays, and they were the exact words in the script, but it was hilarious. And we're talking about Lone Ranger episodes, Superman episodes. The way they would read them, there were these sexual innuendos. It was so funny. You got to wonder, like, how did nobody pick up on that, or how did we not listen to it and hear that?
Like subliminal, you'd say? It's sort of like, or they
It was like not changing the wording. It was kind of like when Tina Fey would do Sarah Palin. Didn't have to change a word, and it was hilarious
I remember
because
that.
of the delivery or whatever. But yeah, and I'll find out more about that because I keep bringing it up. But I was just in a reading of a pilot that was really it was so much fun.
Nate?
I would
Was it
love, yeah, with Nate. It was Nate Golan. How do you say his name? Nate
Golan.
Golan. Yeah, sorry, Nate. I always want to say something. I always want to put extra syllables or something. But he was a guest that you could look at
It was
another
cool. It was
another
good
episode.
guy, yeah.
That name
So
sounds
tell us
so
more,
cool.
yeah, because I would love to get involved.
We
with
want to
it.
hear. We want to hear about your podcast.
Yeah, I want to come
Oh
on your
my
podcast.
goodness, yes.
Please, please, please.
It's still a pretty small podcast. I honestly record it in my room off of the Anchor app, but it's so easy to do and it's so accessible, and I love doing it. And what I do is I write out each episode first.
Very cool.
And then I read from kind of like the script per se for every episode. And it's a lot of fun. And I learned, in my research for each episode, I've learned so much about theater that I didn't even know. And it's really just fun. And I get a few listens. So somebody out there is listening to my podcast.
Yeah, she does.
So I'm so proud.
She's being humble, dude. Like, honestly, she's quite a bit of a following. It's a cult following.
She's like someone I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I learn more and more about Jim as we do these podcasts,
Right?
the episodes. And I've seen him act in a class that we were in on Saturdays.
It was
It's
fun.
kind of in limbo right now. We're not sure what's happening with that, but still. I mean, I've seen him do scenes from The Godfather.
Ooh,
I've seen him.
he would be good in a movie like The Godfather.
He played Don Vito Corleone.
You remember that?
Don
Yeah.
Vito.
It was fun. That was a good scene. It was.
Yeah, he's a great
and
actor.
yeah, thank you. Likewise, bro.
I'm
That's why
watching that series right now. It's called The Offer.
Ooh.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
But it's all about how Puzo wrote the book and how his
Really?
wife tells him, I don't want to give it away or anything, but says, hey, because he didn't really want to do a book about the mob. It was kind
Yeah.
of close to home,
Right.
and he didn't, and he just didn't think it would be interesting. It wasn't because he was afraid from what this is showing. But it's a good series. It's a little slow, but I like it. It's got
That's so
Miles.
cool, bro.
Who's that kid that was in Whiplash? Miles. I don't want to say Miles Davis because I'm always getting names of. Miles Davis was a musician.
For this is for what's
It's
the name of
called The Offer. I love that he has that laptop there.
I know.
Like,
I was going to say that's
It's
going to
like,
come
Mr. Producer.
so in handy. Mr. the producer.
I am the producer.
You are the
okay,
producer.
So it's got Miles
Brian
Teller,
Walsh is a
Miles
producer.
Teller,
Miles Teller,
Juno
who's a
Temple,
wonderful actor.
Giovanni
He's great.
Ribisi.
Giovanni is unrecognizable, man, in a good way. Like
Yeah.
he just transforms himself into this guy that he
Justin
plays.
Chambers. Wow, it's a
Yeah,
hell of a
so
cast.
I started watching
That's
it.
cool.
I like it. I'm not getting any love from Paramount right this minute. I will still plug everything that I love, like Liquid Death.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, Liquid Death. Cheers.
We're dying slowly
Cheers.
anyway,
You know,
right?
the
We
fact,
are. We're all dying slowly
the
every
fact of the
day.
Cheers.
matter.
Woohoo!
I'm sorry.
Yay for death.
The fact of the matter is that if you drink Liquid Death, because it is just really good water in a can, you'll live
Yeah,
longer.
you'll live longer. Sure.
It looks cool because it looks like we're drinking giant beers when
Yeah.
it's really water. But
That looks like a Modelo.
it does. It does look
to
like
me,
a
it
Modelo.
looks like a Monster or a,
Yeah, those energy drinks.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
some.
it looks so badass, and when you don't want to drink, and
I always go back to that commercial I saw during the Super Bowl. The first time I saw it, I was appalled. It's all these kids, like little
Really?
kids, drinking it and acting all drunk
Oh,
and
it's
falling
all-
oh, I think
down.
I remember
It's a
that.
liquid.
And I was
death,
like,
yeah.
what is this about? You know, and then finally at the end of the commercial, it says, it's really just water.
Well, you know that.
And now I watch it and I get over myself and I say, it's kind of clever and it's kind of fun.
it's a good segue to talk about Lego My Ego.
Yeah, that was my a long time ago
Your
now.
call to fame, right?
Well, it was my first SAG acting job, and
Wow.
yeah, I was 11 years old, and
Good for you.
yeah, it was
That's
a long
exciting.
time. It was very exciting, and it's very funny.
It's funny,
and
dude.
it's like all over the internet now since YouTube came out and stuff because they
Isn't it
upload a
great?
lot of old commercials on there, and you know it. So
We're gonna
that-
insert that for sure.
oh God, are you?
Let go of my ego.
It's
Love that commercial.
I know. That was right up there with let's get Mikey. Mikey will try
Mikey
it.
loves it.
Mikey, he'll try anything.
I mean, he'll try anything. Mikey,
Yeah.
he likes it.
Wait a minute.
That's
He
from,
likes it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's from the 70s, right? It's like a
Well,
70s
yeah,
commercial.
yeah.
I watch all those
Aging.
retro
Me
commercials.
too. I love
So the
retro
Halloween
So you guys
commercials.
have to watch the retro versions. version. I was watching them when they were coming out. You know.
There's something about like 60s and 70s commercials that are just so nostalgic because they usually have like a really cute little jingle, and
Sure.
they don't really have that in commercials
Not
today.
anymore, no.
It's so
No, it's
straightforward,
true, huh?
and
Yeah. That's interesting the way you pointed that out.
yeah, that was one thing I've noticed because, you know, as a kid, I did commercials and auditioned for commercials, and there was never any like singing or jingles that they had back in the
We
day.
need one for this podcast.
Can you
We
do it?
do. Oh my God, I'll do it.
When we first came, my family moved to California in 1978. I turned 14 right in the valley over here.
Ooh,
But we
that
only
was
lived
like
there
the prime
for a minute.
valley.
Yeah, I know it was.
The cool era.
cool.
It was something to be. There's something to be said for living in the valley in the summer, close enough to Anheuser-Busch, to where you could smell
That's
the
right.
hops
Right next to the
coming through your
101.
window of the apartment building we lived in.
Oh,
next to the 405.
Yeah, you live right by the freeway.
I
That's
lived on
crazy.
Orion Avenue or Orion. Depends
Yeah.
where you're from. My dad used to say Sepulveda, and he used to say
Sepulveda.
Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa.
Yeah, because his brother lived in Costa Mesa, and his friends moved out here before we did, and we ended up by staying with them and then getting our own apartment. But we were only up here for about 9 months, and then ended up by going down to Costa Mesa where his brother lived, which was a lot
So cool, bro.
better.
That
I
is
liked it
cool.
nicer than the valley.
It was a lot
I'm
cooler,
sorry.
too.
Oh yes, better
Yeah.
weather.
Weather's
But,
so much
Oh
better.
my gosh.
When I remember, things were different out here because here we are in the hub of where they make all this stuff, and you know
Yeah.
it's Los Angeles and Hollywood and
Hollywood.
everything. And I remember this guy had a car dealership, and I can't remember if it was the same one as Cal Worthington.
And
I
his
don't know. I don't
dog
think it
Spot.
was.
And his
remember,
dog Spot,
remember
yeah.
all the animal. You're too young to remember that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
look it up. It's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. So there was this one
Go see
commercial
Cal.
that had a jingle. And until this day, I can't get it out of my head. Every once in a while, I'll be driving around, it'll just pop into my head. Pete Ellis Dodge, Long Beach Freeway, Firestone exit, Southgate.
That's so cool. Well,
It has a radio voice right there.
that Go See Cal,
I
Go
can't
See
sing.
Cal. We're
Yeah.
kids. Call it Pussycat, Pussycat, Pussycat.
And
Let's
we
go-
get canceled again. We don't use those two words in the same sentence, Jim.
But they had that was a phenomenal commercial. You got to look up Carl Worthington, right?
Cal Worthington.
Yeah, Cal
Cal
Worthington.
Worthington. And he'd come by, he'd be driving on riding on an elephant,
Yeah.
or he'd have a giraffe, or he'd have
All these exotic
all
animals,
these
huh?
like a sloth,
Yeah.
or just all kinds of different animals.
Now that sounds cool.
And he'd
They'd
have a
be
cowboy
licking him
hat
and
and the
stuff.
cowboy outfit. And I remember,
Yeah.
I got to look up when he died, but I think he
Yeah.
has a son or a family
Yeah,
member.
they
that
still own the restaurant. I mean, the dealership. Yeah,
Yeah. and a restaurant.
Well, there's one that has a restaurant up here by where you lived. It's
I would buy a car from Cal Worthington.
yeah.
I mean, I would. I've never even seen a commercial.
Snoop Dogg was doing commercials for him after the fact. He
Oh,
passed away
really?
on the radio.
Snoop Loop. I like his Instagram. He puts the craziest
He's so funny
stuff
on
oh my
Instagram.
God.
He just puts on like funny TikToks
Just,
and
when he was going with that crate, the Olympic with the crates, when people were climbing up the crates.
Oh, sure.
He
yeah.
really got
The
into
challenge,
that.
right? The
He
crate
had so much
challenge.
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
yes, Snoop Dogg was in one of Sacha Baron Cohen's movies at the end. I think it was Bruno. And they were singing, I think it was Bruno. And yeah, Snoop Dogg's been in everything.
Snoop is singing Spanish now. He's
He
the
is?
reason why they brought Spanish bands to Coachella this year.
Really?
Really?
I did
Yeah,
not know
he's
that.
doing collaborating with
Wow.
Banda MS or something.
I
And
just
it was
don't-
a thing up there.
I really can't picture Snoop singing in
Spanish, bro. Well, he grew up in Long Beach with a lot of like.
So he just picked up a lot of Spanish along the way.
He did.
You know, when I first figured out who Snoop was, it wasn't because of his music. It was because of a movie called Baby Boy.
My dad loves that movie.
He was great.
Yes.
Everyone was great in that movie. Everyone. I really, then I realized that he had all this music out there that I've
Oh,
been listening
dude.
to. Well, I didn't listen to a lot of rap, but as my son got older, Brian Welsh, Jimmy, my oldest son, Jim Welsh, he didn't listen to a lot of the rap, I don't think. He listens to a wider variety now, but he was listening to more country western. He was going through that phase or stuff.
cool.
But yeah, when I started, when Brian was probably 14, I got turned on to DMX and Linkin Park.
Love DMX, Linkin Park too.
I love
he
talking
just
about
passed
music.
Away.
Don't get me started.
DMX not too long
Well,
ago.
yeah, and Lonnie was at the airport and ran into him, and she knew him. And she was on the phone with me while he was there, and he was saying things in the back there. And she goes, "You got to meet him. You guys are gonna get along great. You're gonna love him. He's gonna love you."
Gone too soon, bro.
I
And
know,
I
he's
never
so
got that
young.
chance. I always figured we'd end up by running into each other at some point, and I'd get to meet him. I love that song "Shorty is the Bomb," and people just look at me like, "Why do you listen to?" Like, what? It doesn't even look right. Like me listening to
Why?
"Shorty is the Bomb."
No, it's
I
like
won't
I
try
think
to sing
you
it.
grew up in right around the right time, like when people start getting into rap.
Oh, it's
I
all
know a
through
lot
my
of dudes,
son,
yeah.
all through my kids.
Like Korn, bands like that. I got into later in life, and I wasn't into it. Like for me, Beastie Boys are close to that rap rock genre, or the fusion rather.
I remember the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, they started off as a punk band. They were a punk band.
You
before.
got a right,
Yeah.
or you got to fight.
You gotta fight
for your right
to
to
party.
party.
So let's find out what kind of music. I know she's like an old soul, bro. She loves the Doors.
Oh, yes. So
I love the
I
Doors.
always say I was born in the wrong decade. Like I even dress pinup, like 50s pinup, like every day.
Wearing some creeper shoes.
Yeah, some creeper
wow, that's
shoes,
cool.
and
Splash.
so I dress retro. I live my life as retro as I can, and my entire playlist, with the exception of the metal music that I listen to,
Very cool.
it's all like 60s through 90s music. I don't think I have any contemporary songs at all.
Wow.
So yeah, I love the Doors. I'm in love with.
She's
Jim
in love with Jim Morrison,
I'm in love
dude.
with him, and I've probably been in love with him since I was about 15, when I not discovered things, because I had heard their music, on the radio all my life, and then when I saw like the guy who was singing those songs, it was like love at first sight.
Jim Morrison.
I was like, damn, that is
was-
a good-looking lad.
He had some charisma, like some kind of not even a charisma, just some kind of a.
He was a lizard king.
I don't want to
The
say
Lizard
how I would
King.
describe, like if it's a romance novel or something, but there was something. Would sultry be a good description? Well, how would you describe a man who has like this?
There's something
It's
of the
just
it
look
factor.
and
this-
He had the
way.
it factor.
He had the
Yeah,
it factor.
he did.
That-
He
that's-
was
Yeah.
maybe
That's for
like
sure.
I don't know, just a very artsy guy who felt maybe there was more to life than what he saw. He was very into poetry.
yeah.
Loved poetry, and actually was, from what I've read, was thinking about leaving music altogether to focus on his poetry. And that's when
Wow.
what he was focusing on when he was in France, where he ultimately passed away. And
yeah.
he was writing a bunch of poems, and a lot of his poetry
Was gloom and
his
doom,
music.
though, huh? Kinda,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
almost
gloomy
want to
stuff.
say he was kind of like a 60s version of an emo kid.
Emo or
Right,
goth,
right, yeah.
gothic when we were growing up.
Yeah,
He had that silent, dark side, like
Oh,
that
this is the
just
end, my
came
friend.
through.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, he was writing here in Venice Beach,
Sure.
Yes.
not far from where we are here in Hollywood, with Ray Manzarek, and they hit it off. And I heard a story one time because, and it's funny because I heard Bill Murray is like this. He would just disappear, and nobody would know where he was. His agent, his manager,
dude.
nobody could get a hold of him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he'd just walk up the walkway to his agent's house, and because they were friends.
Like,
too,
what
you know.
up?
Like, where you been?
You told
You know,
that
we're
story.
trying to
It's
get a
pretty
hold-
good.
Yeah, we're trying to get a hold of you about a movie that we want you to do
Yeah.
or whatever. But Jim Morrison took off and just went on a took
Hiatus
a
for
hiatus
good.
from
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
And they couldn't get a hold of him, and the rest of the guys in the group decided to use their music for a car commercial.
Yes, I
And
heard
when
about
you
this.
hear about that?
Yes.
And then when he got back, he was bullshit
He was
with
pissed.
it, and he
Yes.
said, "No, it's not happening. I didn't
Well,
sign off on it."
Jim's last house that he lived in before he left for France is right around the corner from here.
You're
Oh.
kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've been there. I went there with my boyfriend actually, and because he's from
Hey,
Virginia.
if you're gonna stalk someone, at least it's a dead person.
Yeah, at least it's a dead person. We're not gonna bug him. He's resting in peace. So,
It's funny though
How long has
because
he been dead for now? 50 years?
50 years. Yeah,
Wow.
51 years this
hard to
July,
believe,
July
yeah.
3rd. And it was funny because the other day I was thinking about if Jim was still alive today, he would be 78 years
And
old.
he
He'd
would
be
not-
almost 80.
You look 100 probably. That guy
from-
dropped a lot of tabs, bro. A lot of acid.
Well,
And
look at Bill Weir or whatever. He did his share of partying, and he's still.
And the Rolling Stones are all like,
Yeah.
they're still kind of together. Still
I was
look
just
like,
talking about that last
Sorta,
night.
huh?
I was talking about Keith Richards, and when he was young, or when I was young, I heard how he did all these drugs and everything, and I was getting rebellious. I went through the weed, smoking a lot.
There's tons of weed in the back. You see that?
I was like, that's marijuana.
And some
But
of my
it's legal in
friends were
California,
experimenting
so
with drugs.
you're good.
And stuff. But later on, when I got older, I read an article in the Rolling Stone magazine that he was talking about his life of doing drugs and partying hard and everything. And he said, I come from sturdy stock. Like it's in my family, there are smokers and they drink and they live long. They just had something about our genetic makeup. It's like we're
The Irish, bro.
Who?
You.
You?
No, I'm talking
you're
about,
talking about-
Keith
okay.
Richards.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Yeah,
say
no,
you're
they weren't
fighting
right.
Irish.
They weren't writing about me in Rolling Stone yet.
Not yet, right?
No, but and then I realized that that's true. Some people think they could just live like these rock stars and they can do whatever they want. It doesn't work for everyone.
No.
You see a woman sitting outside a assisted living home, like where my mom lives. She's just puffing away. She's over 100 years old and she's been smoking her whole life. Never got cancer. But then someone else,
secondhand cancer. They die from secondhand smoke.
I read a story about that, like a study about that. Why some people get lung cancer and others don't if they smoke? Because like you just said, there's people that smoke all their lives and never get cancer.
And
Are you a smoker?
No, not at all.
No, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're good.
I'm just so damn good at it. I guess. So working on my social skills. I guess.
We're coming out of a pandemic. I think we all lost our social skills.
Yeah, it's like, hey, ADD boy, settle down, quit interrupting. Come here, pay attention. And then forget what I was talking.
We got to come. That's how our name has to come out of one of those things for sure for our podcast.
ADD boy. Yeah. I'd like to have
boy.
someone to come on and talk about stuff like this
we need
because
it.
people ask me, "What's the podcast about?" It's about whatever the guest we have wants to talk about. But from what I know I'll mess this up, but I guess we all have cancer cells in our body.
Yeah.
And then it's just whether they
they're
become
not active.
activated
They're not
or
active.
not.
That's what it is.
And it's just part of our makeup. Now,
chemical DNA.
feel free to get in the comments. At least we'll get some comments and tell me how I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Because I'd be more than happy to.
Someone with a PhD, like
I have a friend I could ask.
in-
we
We're
should
going to
get
get him
someone
on
on.
too.
biology.
Yeah.
That stuff is it's scary and interesting at the same time. But yeah, it's.
Now that I brought everybody down.
Yeah, we're all depressed now.
But you know what go ahead.
Oh,
please.
I was just going to say, I guess, it depends a lot on your diet, too. And I forget which vitamin it was, but it's like vitamin B6 or
Zinc.
something. Maybe that, too, which is the defining point of whether a person, especially a person who smokes, gets lung cancer or not.
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting.
A certain
Yeah.
deficiency in
A certain deficiency, yeah. Because I Googled it once because I was curious about it. And yeah, that's pretty much what it said. They had a lot of research papers by doctors and such. And
You know what's really cool? And I want to ask her about just sort of changing gears a little bit.
Sure.
Growing up in Santa Clarita. I know because she lives right by Magic Mountain. She was literally on a ride where we brought her down. Hey, let's go to the
I was
bar.
like, hey, Jim.
She lives way
I was
by
on the
Not the one
Colossus.
Sean was on.
It's on the Colossus, just
Yeah.
waving hello.
But she lived
That's a
right by
great
there.
episode, by
Yeah.
the way. Sean, what's how did you say his last name? Lee?
Sean Liang.
Liang.
Yeah.
Lang was another episode that you can go back and watch.
Uh-huh.
He was on an episode of American Horror Story. He was
Yeah.
talking about, and I remember that episode
Yeah.
where he was a big guy on the roller coaster and kind of fell out or was
Sure.
hanging there or something.
Yeah.
It was such a great episode.
That's
But
cool.
Back to you. I'm so sorry.
She's
No, you're
Santa
good.
Clarita, born and raised, right? Like,
Yes.
Okay, so
What
am
did
I
you
the
guys
only
do up
one that
there?
wasn't born in California? You were born in California?
I was born in
I was born
California.
in South
yes.
Central California,
Okay.
South LA.
Odd man out. Go ahead.
It's so funny because usually the people I meet out here are not from California. So,
Yeah.
like when I meet somebody from California, I kind of have
We
like
gravitate to
I
each other,
gravitate.
yeah.
Well, not only that, it's just I don't feel so like an outcast.
Like alienated,
people,
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
alienated.
Did
Because
you go to Hart High?
no, I went to Saugus.
Oh.
Did you go to Hart?
I went to Valencia.
No
he
way.
lives in
What year
Santa
did you
Clarita.
graduate?
2011.
Okay, I was 2007.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
cool.
Lord.
That was my year. My brother's.
Oh yeah.
Who's your
See?
brother? Do I know him?
I don't know, Carlos Mario.
No, I don't
Went to
know him.
Valencia.
Okay, that's cool. My cousin went to Valencia.
Valley.
I know. Yeah, Valley. Yeah,
So
I knew a lot of
Valley.
people from Valencia but were probably my age exactly. I don't think I knew anyone from
I've done
Valencia.
some
in
work up there, so I'm
2011.
Yeah,
familiar with
Valencia's
Santa
Yeah,
Clarita
and
Studios.
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Well, they used to film.
Stevenson
was it
Ranch,
MASH?
right?
Was it
Stevens-
MASH?
Yes,
up
there's
there? No,
Stevenson
that was
Ranch.
in Malibu.
I'm in Saugus.
Stevenson's
Yeah.
Ranch. Well, that has a whole
Stevenson Ranch
history of it.
is nice.
Yeah.
That's in that Hollywood story
Yeah, the
about
porn.
the whole Manson thing and everything, isn't it? That's
No.
the same one? No.
Is it? No, that's the Death Valley where they had that special
No,
ranch.
no.
Oh,
No,
Simi
no,
Valley. I think
Simi
you're
Valley.
thinking of Simi
Yeah,
Valley.
Simi Valley is where they
it's
had
where
the
they
ranch.
had
I would-
ranch.
okay,
Yeah.
By the Santa something pass,
Santa
right?
Susana.
Santa Susana
Pass. Yeah. But see,
You're
yeah,
close though.
Very
I'm gonna
close.
figure it out here.
Very
Yeah.
close. Yeah, Santa Clarita is kind of a bubble of its own, right? It's a bubble of its
yeah,
own.
for
and
sure. Yeah.
it's definitely a lot different from like here in West Hollywood,
Sure.
and it's more of a family-oriented place. But I wasn't born there, so my family lived in Rancho Cucamonga, and then
Yeah, that was nuts when you mentioned that on the podcast before.
right.
He said Rancho Cucamonga. I'm like, dude, that is so foreign. That's on the other, like from one extreme to the
That's
other.
in it's in San Bernardino, and
There's some
Then-
correlation. I know.
They both start with S.
Okay.
yes. And then my parents decided to move closer to my dad's work because he worked in LA, and Rancho Cucamonga was just too far.
It's way out of the way.
It's way out of the way. And it took them 2 hours to get to work and then get home to work. So my parents packed up and found a house in Santa Clarita, and
Rancho Cucamonga is where they shot next Friday.
oh yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That is so funny, by the way.
That
I
movie's
love that
funny,
movie.
yeah. So what was
we-
life up there like for you?
Well, my family moved there when I was about 2 months old.
Okay.
So I don't remember Rancho Cucamonga at
At
all.
all, other
and
than going past.
That's out
which-
there, yeah.
it's out there. Well, and then
I've
I was
worked out
just
there, too,
raised in
painting.
Santa Clarita my whole life, and yeah, it's a very family oriented place.
Yeah.
It's where Magic Mountain is. In case if anyone watching doesn't know where
Valencia?
Santa Clarita is, but so yes, there's like 5-6 neighborhoods. There's Valencia, Saugus, Stevenson Ranch, Castaic is technically part of Santa Clarita, and then Newhall, Canyon Country.
And Saugus
I've
kind of
worked in a lot of
engulfs
those
everything,
areas.
right? It's like embodies the whole thing. Saugus.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it
Saugus
sounded
is-
so familiar. I painted houses in Stevenson. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, Stevenson
Nice,
Ranch is
beautiful
so
area,
nice.
bro.
So Saugus is more like North Santa Clarita, and that's where I went to like high school and
Okay.
such. And
Remember that whole tragedy with Saugus? With the high
that
school?
happened. Oh my God,
What happened?
there was a
Saugus.
shooting a few years ago.
And there was just another one. Was it
There's
Buffalo,
two,
New York?
yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah,
and
it's really horrible.
like-
We, sending out our
condolences,
I know people
yeah.
don't like to
Yes.
hear thoughts and prayers for the families, but
But yeah, we definitely are for sure. We're with
absolutely.
the families of the
definitely,
victims.
I know it
and
just
mental
keeps
illness.
happening,
Please,
yeah.
let's look at that.
Well, a lot of that post pandemic, it's caused by a lot.
I
of,
would
you know-
say that there's a lot of people, and there's no excuse or reason to justify anything, but we should be looking more at the stress that people have been experiencing from this pandemic. Oh, listen, now I'm an authority, and the inflation and everything that's going on right now. I think, boy, if we had some money that we wanted to put somewhere, I don't know how
Sure.
much of that trillions of dollars that is being
Caruso,
passed through,
if he becomes
into mental health.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoever
and
wins-
homeless, and we won't get going on our.
the next. Are we going to have a mayoral
community.
candidate or is a governor candidate?
He's
we're gonna
he's on whatever you call it, the ticket or whatever. He's running for governor.
get? Okay.
And we're
We
going
can
to
ask some
hopefully
solid
we're going to
questions.
try to have him
yeah, I
on.
can ask some questions. What are you going to do about mental health? Because it is a
That's
very
one of his
scary thing.
That's one of his
The issues, the hot
issues,
topics. We have to
homelessness.
tackle those issues.
Something
first.
about he'd like to see water from the ocean converted into fresh water.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's claiming. He says he's not taking any contributions from any companies, corporate. None of that kind of thing. And he says he's not. He's not claiming a party,
Okay.
Republican or
So
Democrat or anything like
independent.
that. But
Yeah.
and it's kind of interesting because he kind of you'll get to where you feel like he leans one way, but he's
And he
pro-choice.
surprises ya.
So I mean, if you think, oh, he sounds like a Trump supporter, but he's choice.
Yeah, pro-choice.
Pro-choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, okay,
That's
so
cool.
he's going here, he's going there, he's going there. And I almost want to say, what's wrong with that? If
at least
someone
he's-
is a little more moderate, but they do
Right.
pick and choose from each.
It's an outside thinker. It's
so
not like
all
you're going to
this-
just jump on a
this
bandwagon.
Side, my side,
yeah.
your side, you're to blame for that.
What do you think? What do you think?
I'm kind of
Brandy?
so I would definitely probably categorize myself as a moderate. I usually I guess I think it was you I told this to. I try not to talk about politics too much. Just
We don't
because-
want to on the podcast, but I have a way of bringing it up. Don't I?
Yeah.
just because I think when people like it just as a performer, I just want
Yeah,
people to
yeah.
see me as a performer, somebody to help them forget about their day, because that's what entertainers are.
I
at the
love
end of
that
the day,
Elvis
right?
Presley said that in a press conference when they asked him
Right,
about
yeah.
the Vietnam War. And he said, honey, I'm just an entertainer. I just soon enough leave my personal, what am I trying to do?
Yeah. Hey, that's certainly true to
Hey,
Elvis.
thank you
I
very
love it.
much. I think I just again, I'm just an entertainer.
Do you vote though? Do you vote?
I vote.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
But that's
I
something
vote.
you keep to yourself, and that's
I
good.
vote.
That's also good.
So the thing is that, like I say, I don't want to talk about politics, but I'm talking about having
Yeah,
a politician
that's
or someone
okay.
that's running for
No,
governor
we can.
on.
You can ask him.
But
It's
for
your
questions.
podcast.
I want to
Yeah.
address issues with empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
Without talking about party lines or without talking about the politics of it. Just empathy and compassion.
Because we hate parties.
How do
you know,
we
like,
feel? I got invited
Yeah.
to 3 parties I couldn't go to this weekend.
Well, we love those types of
Type of
parties.
parties.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
party,
But to
yeah.
actually like side with one particular party, it's hard to do, especially in the United States. I don't think.
I just
I'm
don't
somewhere
think
in
it's
the middle.
necessary. I think
Yeah.
that, you don't have to be one or the other. And I
No.
think when we start choosing groups
You
and
alienate
like
others,
say, I'm
right?
for my people,
Right.
or,
Causes
I'm,
division.
Yeah,
I can't. I try to talk to people with differences of opinion, and it's really unfortunate when you can't just come and say, okay, I can agree to disagree, and let's
Right.
see if we can find something we agree on, and then talk about that.
Just reach across party lines and just
Right.
come to
I
some
just-
consensus. Of
I
something.
just try and go with what I feel is right and what I feel is wrong when I vote. But it's hard because you got to just pick one person. So
Hey, I want to talk
yeah.
about. Let's talk about some of the work, the voiceover work that you
Sure,
do.
Yeah,
cartoons.
sure.
that's really an
Yeah.
interesting genre, or whatever you would call it. No, what do you call it? Well, it's just an interesting part of the industry.
voice acting, yeah. And it's been so much fun. So I think when I was a kid, I was always kind of told I have an unusual voice. It's high pitched. My
I love your voice. It's
thank
great. It's
you.
good for
And,
this. Voiceover
And it
is
was
perfect.
something, even though I'd been acting almost all my life, voice acting was something I knew I was eventually going to get into.
Yeah.
In high school, I had a girl tell me, you should be a voiceover for the Rugrats because you have such a, high-pitched, unusual voice. And I loved the Rugrats as a kid.
But let's talk about cartoon hookups.
Yes. Oh my God. Cartoon Hookups was very funny. So it's basically a parody cartoon of a reimagining of what would happen if 2 cartoon characters from 2 different cartoons hooked up. So I read the script and I'm like, this is freaking hilarious. I have to do it. And so I did 3 episodes, 2 episodes. I'm doing this from memory. So I did 2 episodes of a parody of Nami, and she's an anime character
Mm-hmm. Anime.
from Yep.
And Sally, right? Sally
And
Acorn.
Sally Acorn, yes. And then I did an episode of Sally Acorn, which was insane because we all grew up with Sally Acorn. Oh, hey, selfie.
Oh, that's okay. Don't mind me.
Oh,
I just do this in the middle of a podcast.
and
But I'm interested. I'm fascinated by the concept of a character from one cartoon crossing,
Isn't
like
that
they end up by.
great?
Yeah, that's so
isn't
cool.
that great? Oh my
Fantastic.
gosh. And the finished episodes are so funny. And each episode gets gosh, a lot of streams. Like a million views per episode. Bless you.
Went down the
Yeah,
wrong
bless you.
way.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
it's always at the wrong time, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
oh
It
god.
It might come. It's gonna come out the right way though.
I'm gonna die on camera.
That's just so embarrassing.
No, you're good.
and what about?
Okay.
You're good.
Was it the Hyena House Brawl? Or?
Hyena House Brawl, and I actually am good friends with the creator of Hyena House Brawl. He's super cool. and-
Really? Have him
Yes.
come on the show.
He
whenever
should.
wants.
You know what? He lives in Atlanta.
Okay, so we'd have to zoom him.
we zoom him.
Yeah,
zoom
we'll
him
zoom him in, yeah.
Super
Tuba
cool.
man, maybe.
Yeah, super cool guy. Very talented. They're all talented. Just
What
the
about Sly
animators.
Cooper?
Sly
this-
Cooper. So that's the most recent one. So the audition for that, I auditioned for quite a few parts in the Sly Cooper. So for those of you who are listening to this, who are not aware, Sly Cooper is a franchise. It's a video game franchise.
Okay.
And it gained a huge following, and I don't think they've done anything with Sly Cooper for a few years now. So,
James still plays with his Atari.
dude, Ataris are
Game Boy. Oh, no, wait a minute.
Game
Nintendo.
Boy.
Was it the little one, right?
Yeah.
The
Game
Boy. I
Boy.
got my
Oh,
kids that.
Game
No,
Boy.
when I was a kid, they had
Ping pong?
they had erector sets and linking logs. And that was it.
Okay,
Maybe
I
those
played-
metal Hot Wheels.
I
that
played
they
with
did
Lincoln
the
Logs as a
plastic
kid.
tracks.
They had
Yeah.
Lincoln Logs at like the doctor's office for the kids.
I just went and left some Lincoln Logs in the toilet
Oh, you did?
after
Oh,
those
wow.
tacos.
How
Princess
did I
tacos.
not know? How did I know that we were gonna go there?
What'd you eat?
I like
it
that
must have been
joke.
tacos.
It must have been
like-
those fucking
Those
tacos we had.
fucking tacos.
And this is Pinchies has the best. Don't blame it on Pinchies.
These guys are great.
Yeah, no, I'm
Cheers.
kidding.
Cheers to Pinch's Tacos.
We're-
Yes.
There's a comic, I can't remember who it was. He was so funny. It might have been emo or something. He's like, I was so poor. I remember I got a drum set for Christmas with a picture of a Quaker on the front.
Oh, that's so funny, dude.
Yeah, because it's like the
Right,
big,
right.
the
And-
big container of
For the-
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats.
Early
Yeah.
morning.
I used to always, cause is it George Washington or is it just a Quaker on the
just the
front?
Quaker.
Okay,
It's a
I always
Quaker.
thought
It's
it was
not-
George Washington as a kid, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, if they want to
Yeah.
use George Washington on the,
I'd like to look
On
up
the
who was
container. Who was
he? Yeah,
the
it's
guy.
gotta have a
but I
name.
do have to go back and just say that the reason that I got mixed up with Stevenson's Ranch was because the ranch that they used for filming that the Manson family ended up by living at that's where I think they were arrested from
By the
during
Santa Susana.
that
yes.
it's called Spawn.
Spawn
Movie
Ranch.
Spawn
yeah.
Ranch,
Spawn
yes.
Movie Ranch.
It used to be
Yes.
a Western ranch for a lot of spaghetti westerns, I guess, or 60s westerns, right?
Yeah,
Let's do it this way so it'd be more fun for the viewers.
they should.
Who is the Quaker on the box of
I know.
Quaker Oats?
Now I'm curious. I always thought it was George Washington as a kid.
The Quaker Oats Company, known as Quaker, is an American food conglomerate based in Chicago.
There's your answer.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know.
thanks
So
a
it's
lot.
just a general run of the mill
Right.
drawing, I
Okay,
guess.
is the
of a
Quaker
Quaker.
Oats guy a real person? The Quaker man is not an actual person. His
Okay.
image is that of a man dressed in a Quaker garb, chosen because the Quaker faith projected the values of honesty, integrity, purity, and strength. So who is the man on the Quaker Oats box? Is it William Penn? PepsiCo. I guess Pepsi must own Quaker Oats.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a confession to make. I am the Quaker guy on the
I knew
container.
it. No,
You
you're
knew
Jim
it.
Morrison. You're Jim Morrison.
I'm Jim Morrison.
Oh, going
yeah,
back
I,
to
Fucking
Jim
Jim Morrison.
Morrison.
John
Since
Belushi
we are
sits on that
all-
seat.
I
True
knew
story.
it. I thought I recognized him.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Hi, what's up?
Let's party. Let's
Let's party.
Animal
Let's
House.
freaking party like it's 1979.
Let's do party Animal House Part 2, right?
Oh
Or
yes, we
part
gotta get
3.
the toga out. Gotta get the toga out and the sweatshirt that says college.
Oh.
That always made me laugh.
He died right across the street. You obviously knew that, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Jimmy
He was so
Blu- or
young.
John-
He
why
was
do
like
I
my
say-
age
sorry,
actually.
Jim. Sorry, Jim. It's John Belushi. Jim Belushi's brother. You know, and
Yeah.
Jim's been in some of my favorite movies. I
Cool
love
guy, dude.
Taking Care of Business.
And he had
with
that
the-
show. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was
show.
just gonna say he's also the guy who did the show According to Jim, right?
Right,
That's
right.
him.
And I actually reached out to him to try to get him on the podcast so he could
He was
yell
too
at me
busy.
about
Oh.
mixing. And it's not like I mixed them up.
No.
It's just the processing, and I'm trying to say names, and they come out.
And
They
Jim
both
and
start
John,
with J.
yeah, Jim and John
and
are very
John.
popular boys' names, so it's easy to get them mixed up. I think those names.
Right. I
Yeah.
always just felt this extreme ongoing condolence for Jim to have lost his brother, who was so
So gifted,
iconic.
huh?
I
So
know.
gifted.
And then becoming an entertainer in his own right, and going through. And I know there must be times where he wonders, what would my brother think about this? And
It's like the Joaquin Phoenix and River Phoenix.
Yeah,
It just
same
passed through
exact
the
thing.
Viper room.
And I love when Joaquin acknowledged his brother on stage when he was accepting the Academy Award. He said, "I'm standing on his shoulders," and it just gets me right here.
Yeah.
But going back
Right
to
in the
Jim
feels.
Morrison. I read that book, No One Gets Out Alive,
have that
when I was
book.
real
I did
young.
too.
I was in
Yes.
high school
It's a
when
great
I read
book.
it. And I remember when he talks about how they were driving on the freeway and there was an accident, an auto accident, and in the middle of the desert, and an Indian, a guy that was American
Native
Indian,
American,
a
yeah.
Native American, was, I guess, dying. And he watched him, and he believes that he watched him take his last breath, and he felt like the spirit, and that was an influence for a lot of his theme, the
songs,
theme
yes.
of
Yeah.
his songs and his writing and his stage performance, and everything. He really felt like he had the spirit from this Indian.
Yes.
Isn't that
So it
something?
sounds like you're thinking almost the same way. Like Jim.
What's your favorite song?
Oh gosh, I
Jim
can't
Morrison's
pick.
spirit could be.
LA Woman?
Let's see. I love Wild Child, Wishful Sinful. LA Woman is a great song.
LA
Waiting
Woman.
for the Sun. I love Waiting for the Sun.
Waiting for the sun.
Touch Me.
I like
that,
No One Gets Out Alive.
No one here gets out alive.
There you go.
I love
Who sings that?
Jim Morrison,
Let's
the
keep it
Doors.
there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't do that joke with people I don't know usually.
I was
sorry.
like, Jim Morrison? Hello?
Of
No, I'm
course,
kidding.
Do you
Kidding.
do you have a tattoo of Jim Morrison of the
No,
Doors? Do you
I
have any
don't. You know
tattoos?
what? I love tattoo art. I've always been so scared to get a tattoo though, because
Mm-hmm.
what if I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my god, this tattoo is so ugly, and
James has. I have a conflict. James has a
What if I
tattoo of
change?
Lupe in the
Lupe?
back. Yeah.
well, I'm just little Lupe. I've always
Totally
been so
messing
scared
around.
that like,
I have a tramp stamp right here.
girl, you gotta get your tramp stamp. Are you even?
Now, that's a great.
Way to close the show.
Great way
I
to
love
close
it.
the show.
You gotta
Tramp
come
stamps
back,
galore.
right? Part
Yeah,
two.
we'll
People are
talk
going to be
about-
asking, does
It'll be-
Uncle James really have a tramp stamp?
Yeah.
It'll be called our tramp stamp episode.
It's gonna go viral.
Yeah.
I swear to you, especially.
Now, if you
Talking about
leave a
tramp stamps.
comment, we will give you some merch if you want any merch.
We have some
we
cool
have all
merch,
this
yeah.
merch. We're trying to give it away: cups, T-shirts, hats. We just ordered the hats.
I'm gonna get myself
Yeah,
some
we'll
merch.
get
Yeah,
you
we
Hell
will.
yeah.
merch.
We'll hook you up.
Maybe you could get some like tattoos of your faces so people can get a tattoo of
Then you know
of your
you've
faces
made
on
it.
your ass.
When someone walks up to me and says, "Look, I got the logo with the caricature of you and Jim,"
But it's like official if it's on their ass though. Like that's how you know that they love you, or like their thigh or something.
Around their ball sack.
Oh my god, that's how you know
Well, now
you've
we're
made
Because
it.
we have balls to come off.
if we weren't canceled before, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're bringing it. I love to tell the story really quick though as we close. I got to tell you, Angel Salazar. You can watch his episode. He was an actor that was
Chi-Chi.
in Scarface.
Ooh,
The
that's
famous
cool.
line when the chainsaw episode when Al Pacino's character says, "Chichi, get the Yehu." So anyway, Angel Salazar said, "Can we curse on here?" I said, "You can say shit, ass, ass, whatever, fuck, And then Jimmy starts celebrating. He starts running it all together and making sentences and everything. I was like, "Geez, Jim, you don't have to celebrate it, But that's how we roll. That's
how
what
we
we
roll.
do here.
That's
It's
how we do.
comedy.
This is
so
not PG. This
No.
is not for the faint of heart.
It's
Far
not
from.
for families.
This
It's for
is
people
high
with a good
octane.
sense of humor.
That's right. This is
Yes, comedy is
Unleashed.
life.
This is freestyle. This is Jim and James
Jim and
morning
James
podcast or whatever the
morning
fuck
podcast.
we're gonna call it.
But I really think you
We're
guys
keeping it raw.
should make ass tattoos. And
Okay.
and
How
then
about stick-ons so we
Yeah.
don't have to live with
Stick-ons,
them?
yeah. We'll
Of our
get-
logo. Yeah.
on somebody's butt cheek.
Okay. Well, this is
One they can watch-
slowly turning into a version of
You
Howard
could get
Stern
you could
now.
get
You could-
like
we do want
models.
sponsors.
And you
Song
can watch
models.
how you can watch as the aging process, right?
Yeah.
On the
Lord, we went from bad to worse. And on that note,
Thank
We'll
you
see
so
on-
much.
Thank you
I
for
seem to bring
coming.
that out
We're
of
gonna have
people.
to have
Brandi
you
Aguilar.
Inappropriate
You're in
sense
the
of humor.
all-star of guests, and we're definitely going to have you back.
This
and-
was fun.
Thank you so much. It was
This was
fantastic.
so
Boy, time
fun.
went by so fast.
I know. It didn't
Except
feel
for the
like
people
an
that
hour.
were listening are just going.
Yeah, just talking
Is it ever
about-
gonna, when are they going to get
just
to
talking about ass
No,
tattoos.
we love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks
Hey,
for
thanks so
listening.
much. Thanks for subscribing too.
Yes. Woohoo.